Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode here of StormCast. Great to be back on the air with everyone. We are glad you are here with us. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of StormCast. We're going to have a great episode tonight. We'll get right to our panel first here in just a minute. But again, for those of you just now joining, you guys are watching us live here on YouTube. This is StormCast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here to get notified when we go live. And feel free as well throughout the show if you want to get involved with us. Tweet us during the show using the hashtag EWVStormcast on Twitter, or just shoot us a mention at ExtremeWX Videos anytime throughout the show tonight. We'll be keeping an eye on our Twitter feed as we go through. But let's get right to it. Let's see who we've got here with us tonight. Another great panel. From Elkhorn, Wisconsin, we have the one and the only Dan Cluine. Welcome. Great to have you on.
Good evening. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. And from Iowa, with more snow than she wants, it's our favorite Lady Disaster. Good evening there, Jesse.
Hello.
Great to have you back on the show. I know it's been a while since we've had you on the show here, so great to have you back. And joining us again, from down in nice, warm, and sunny, but soon to be rainy Florida, it's Rob. How's it going, Rob?
It's going good. Can't wait for the rain.
Man. Awesome. And I'm your host, Joey Pisani, here from EWHQ in Atlanta, Georgia. We got a couple top stories that we're going to be talking about in this Stormcast tonight. So we would love to share that here with you. So we've got two top stories we're going to be talking about. The first one is obviously the one you guys have probably all been hearing about on the news. That is Winter Storm Harper. Yep, we're already at letter H. Pretty crazy, right? But that wasn't the only thing we have to talk about. We also have quite a bit of severe weather that we saw today. So Jesse and Dan will be talking to us about that a little bit later on in the show. So we're going to get started here with our winter storm watches, warnings, and advisories. So, Dan, kind of tell us what you're seeing here on the map tonight. We got a lot of pink and purple and some blue out there. We had some tornado watches earlier. So what are we looking at here, buddy?
Well, quite the stretch of different kinds of extreme weather going on right now. Obviously, we have the huge winter storm that's practically covering nearly a third of the country right now, all the way through from New England down to Kentucky and Missouri. Many counties under a severe or a winter weather warning. I think the entire state of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, nope, not Rhode Island, all under a winter storm warning. And then, again, like I said, that extends all the way down through the Ohio Valley down to southern Missouri.
Yeah.
And then down in the Gulf Coast, down in the southeast there, we have a tornado watch, and we'll be talking about that here coming up here in a moment. Quiet and cold through the Central Plains. And then out west looks to be like another winter storm coming through. So lots of different things going on. Temperatures are going to start to dip for the northern third of the country. We'll talk about that some coming up here in just a bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Winter Storm Harper, absolutely pretty, like Dan was just saying, I mean, pretty extensive. And it started actually yesterday, and I know it really affected you guys there where you guys are at, Dan and Jesse, yesterday. I know today's kind of been more off to your east, but before we kind of get into what we're looking at, I wanted to get to talk to both of you guys and share your stories with our viewers as to kind of what you guys saw with Winter Storm Harper. We'll get to you guys. I know we got some pictures from you guys a little bit later, but just kind of tell us, you know, what it was like for you, road conditions, traveling, things like that. How did your area respond? Jesse, we'll go ahead and start with you out there in Iowa.
Well, we got a total of 6 inches here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Road conditions are still not quite favorable for travel. Right now it's really, really cold. We have 1 degree with a wind chill of -18 currently.
Whew. Yeah, that is some really cold air coming in. Really cold air, and yeah, that's. I'm glad it's not going to get that cold down here. Really glad it's not going to.
I can send it your way if you'd like.
No, you can keep it up there up north. I mean, I'll keep my. I think I'm at like 47 right now and dropping. So we're supposed to get down to about 32. So we might hit the freezing mark tonight. So
we have our wind is pretty strong too. It's 14 miles an hour, but gusting up to 25 at times.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What was Winter Storm Harper like for you guys up there in Wisconsin? A lot better than Winter Storm Gia.
Yeah. It started at about 3:30 in the afternoon Friday and continued overnight. I would say it came to an end, I'm guessing here, maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning today. We got unofficially, I would estimate, about 7 inches worth of snow. We'll come back to that a little bit later, and I can show you exactly how much we got in the front yard. Awesome. Yeah, the plows and that seem to keep up with it just fine up here anyway, because the duration was long enough where our snowfall rates, I don't think were really all that impressive. It was just a long duration snow. And then the lake counties in southeast Wisconsin, particularly in Kenosha County, they had quite a bit of lake enhancement. So I don't have official numbers, but I think they're going to be closer to the 10-inch, 11-inch. And then they were still under a winter storm warning earlier tonight yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if their totals ended up topping out near a foot.
Wow. Impressive. Here in Georgia, I mean, pretty much our winter storm was nothing. We got probably about a quarter of an inch of rain today. We had some pretty moderate to heavy rainfall move through around 4:30, 5:30 this afternoon. Since then, all the rain's kind of pushed off to the east. And we'll be talking about more of the severe weather side that Harper had a little bit later. But before we do that, I did want to get to just kind of go over kind of what we have going on right now, still going on here with Winter Storm Harper, and kind of what we're expecting through the remainder of this evening and into tomorrow morning. So we're going to go back to the PowerPoint here and take a look at what we have going on. So we have two currently still active mesoscale discussions that you should be seeing there. And so obviously, like Dan was saying there, kind of south of Wisconsin, still seeing some moderate to heavy snowfall that's been expanding from northwest to southeast throughout the day today as that colder air has really come in and changed a lot of that rain and freezing rain over to sleet and snow there across portions of Illinois and Indiana. And that rain snow line continues to migrate southward this evening. And then also, not only that, but we're also seeing a lot of the heavier snowfall right now across portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania, really getting into New York tonight. And we're going to see a lot of widespread 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates likely across much of this area, and even getting into the Northeast through the overnight hours there as well. And, like Dan was saying, not only does Winter Storm Harper, have the snowfall side, but we also have the severe weather side here across the southeast. So this is the SPC outlook that we had for today. So we had a slight risk of severe weather across portions of Alabama, Georgia, and even into the Florida Panhandle, with a marginal risk kind of the surrounding area, even all the way down to where you were, Rob. And that line of storms is actually kind of off the coast there of where you're at, and going to be making its way approaching your area later tonight. So I can kind of show you what we're looking at with that here on the radar. So right now we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings to talk about. But again, there is this line of storms, and the main line is still kind of back over here. And that's going to be coming into portions of western Florida through the overnight hours. Up here toward Tallahassee, this is kind of the leftovers of that line of storms earlier that put out a lot of different storm reports and things like that, which kind of is what I wanted to talk about next with you guys. And Jesse's going to kind of get to share some of the storm reports here that we saw today. So let's take it to our next segment here with storm reports. Jesse, take it away.
All right, well, we have right now 4 tornado reports.
So we're up from 3.
4 miles southeast of Florence, Mississippi. They had a EF0 touchdown. There was also an EF1 6 miles southeast of Brandon, Mississippi. We had 52 wind reports, 1 hail report, so grand total of 57 reports so far.
Not bad, not bad. Interestingly enough, I actually had someone reach out to me on Twitter personally that's from Brandon, Mississippi, and she was saying that she literally slept through the tornado. I'm like, how in the world did you sleep through the storm that put out a tornado 6 miles from your house? So that was definitely interesting. Another thing that was interesting, I know it's not on the official storm reports total there, but there was a confirmed tornado today that hit downtown Wetumpka this afternoon, and Rob was doing some research on that earlier this evening. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about that tornado that hit downtown Wetumpka. For those of you that may not know, Wetumpka is just on the northern side of Montgomery, Alabama. So, Rob, talk to us about this tornado and kind of, what happened with it.
Well, this tornado, as you said, Joey, in Wetumpka, is that what it's called, Wetumpka, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Happened downtown Wetumpka were destroyed from the EF1 tornado.
I think we have some connection issues there with Rob there. But yeah, there were numerous buildings that were destroyed. Church was also hit. There were no fatalities reported with that tornado, but that was definitely an early start to having a tornado going through a fairly populated area. So it's something we really don't necessarily want to see. But that's kind of what happened on the south side. Now, what's going to happen with Winter Storm Harper is going to be really interesting here. Again, Dan was kind of pointing out earlier, the broad swath of winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories that are out all the way from southeast Missouri all the way up through the New England area. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through some of these here. So, again, just some reminders here for everyone. Always check your road conditions before you leave. If you do need to travel, make sure you have an emergency kit in your car in case you get stuck. They always take it slow, leave plenty of extra space in front of you and the car in front of you. So just some general winter weather tips. Some of the hardest hit areas, especially this evening into the overnight hours. Indianapolis area, this is what NWS Indianapolis has put out. They're expecting pretty good amount of snowfall there across the area. Also, like Jesse was talking about earlier, those winds are really going to be howling out there. There's a picture there of the Wetumpka, Alabama tornado there from today. Thank you, Jesse, for pulling that up. Glad you're able to find some there. So, yeah, that was definitely a pretty significant tornado there in Wetumpka. I mean, large buildings, really heavily damaged. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the EF2, maybe even possibly an EF3 tornado in that area. So definitely, yeah, WTVM had some very impressive images there from that particular tornado. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted on once we get an official rating. Probably sometime tomorrow, hopefully, from the National Weather Service. They'll get out there and get an official rating of that tornado there. But snowfall totals, going back to snowfall totals here across portions of the upper Midwest into the Northeast. I mean, we're going to be seeing some really pretty big snowfall totals and also some really cold wind chills. I know, Jesse, you're already seeing wind chills of -18. Well, tomorrow night in Northeast Indiana, they're going to be about the same way, with -18, -19 wind chills. Tomorrow night across portions of the Fort Wayne area and things like that. Also interesting is possible lake effect snow tomorrow in places of northwest Indiana. So that could also allow for some more accumulations. And we're also going to be keeping an eye on another quick storm system that's going to be moving through as we get into the day on Tuesday. Now, we'll get back to that here in just a second. Here, Dan's going to talk just a little bit about, measuring snow and things like that. But this for northern Ohio. So as you can see here, their snowfall totals anywhere from 10 to 12 inches for a good portion of the area as you get into northwest Pennsylvania, possibly over a foot. Again, farther to the north in these areas going to be higher totals, smaller totals down farther south. Due to the track shift, it did kind of shift a little bit farther north than we were thinking. So some of these southern areas are not going to be seeing as much snow as we were looking at before. So there's some of the totals for southeast Ohio and western Pennsylvania. So places like Butler and Mercer, around 10 inches of snow. Newcastle, 8 inches of snow. Down toward Pittsburgh, only about 3 inches. So definitely, some pretty good snowfall totals there for portions of Pennsylvania. Getting into New York, this is where we're going to see some of our highest snowfall totals. Is going to be in parts of interior New York, places like Sodus and Fulton and Weedport, New York, possibly over 1.5 feet of snow in those areas. Buffalo and Niagara Falls, only about 8 inches. Getting up toward Pulaski and Watertown, 10 to 12 inches up there. Then getting to the portions of central Pennsylvania. Again, possibly a couple isolated spots there in north central Pennsylvania. Going to be over 1 foot of snow when it's all said and done. It's going to be real interesting what some of these totals are going to be. And this is for the Albany, New York area. Again, this is where we're seeing some of the biggest totals again there in interior New York. Some places over 20 inches, possibly wouldn't be surprised to see over 2 feet of snow fall across some of these more mountainous regions there in upstate New York and portions of Vermont. Kind of the same thing, 12 to 18 inches, depending on where you live, possibly isolated higher amounts. And then as you get over toward Boston, it's going to be not as much snow as we were thinking, but the big threat with portions of, Massachusetts and the Providence and Nantucket area is going to be more of the coastal flooding and heavy rain threat there. Same thing across portions of coastal Connecticut and Maryland. Some coastal flooding potential there as well. They do have flood watches and warnings out for that area. And then as you get into New Hampshire and Maine, it's all going to be snow again. Over 1 foot of snow in many places. So definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Now, we have gotten some pictures. And as we mentioned earlier, you can always send us your pictures. Just use the hashtag EWVStormCast to send us pictures and things like that you want to have aired on. So these are some of the pictures that we had sent in to us today. So this came to us from Chris Fitzpatrick out of Middletown, New York, showing some of the snow that's starting to accumulate there. So that's kind of on the border of New York and Pennsylvania and those type of places as well. And then this is a picture that Jesse actually sent in to us. Was that today or was that yesterday? That was today. So, and you got about 6-7 inches of snow there. So pretty decent snowfall totals. Looks like you got the driveway plowed out there pretty well. So well done there. There's another one. So yeah, I mean, the snow definitely looks a little bit higher. You can see kind of right in here the total, and you were to stick a ruler out there. She said it was about 7 inches there, so pretty impressive as well. So speaking of measuring snow, I did want Dan to kind of talk to us a little bit about ways that I guess the National Weather Service likes to have us measure snowfall. So let me pull up this graphic here for you there, Dan, and talk to us about measuring snow.
Yeah, so basically what they're looking at is that they want to make sure that you have a clean slate to work with, more or less, so that any blowing and drifting snow doesn't affect your numbers or adjust those where they shouldn't be. But basically what this is an easy way of setting up something like that to make sure that you're measuring accurately. You only need a couple of things, a ruler, a flag, and a board, so that you can easily remove previously measured snow, and we'll get into that. So basically what you want to do is you want to set up your measuring site away from any objects or being covered or anything like that. So a nice open space. You want to make sure that you get it set up before the snow starts, so that you're making sure that you start measuring right away as soon as accumulation starts to occur. And then mark your board so you know where it's at. Once it starts snowing, they recommend just using a flag for that, so you can find that easily. And then what you want to do is measure once a day at the same time every day. After measuring, place then the board on top of the snow, so then you start with a clean slate. Measure as soon as the snow stops to avoid any possible lowering of the totals due to any melting, settling, or drifting. And then, of course, most important part is sending in your report. Make sure you include who, what, when, where, the amounts that you've used, and how you've measured that, so that they know it's accurate. And if you do that by using these steps here, that'll ensure a accurate total.
But let's say, Dan, I mean, not everyone, has a board or, has a ruler, at home. What are, you kind of did it today. I mean, what's another way that you can measure snow?
Well, not everyone has a ruler always.
No, that's
right.
fine.
What's that?
How do folks in Wisconsin measure? You guys are pretty much experts at measuring snow.
Yeah, well, you see, we don't always have a ruler always nearby, but what most of us always have nearby is a can of beer. And we all know about how tall a can of beer is. So I think Joey's bringing that up here.
There you go.
And we are not sponsored by that brewery there by any means. That just happened to be what I had on hand there. But hey, that's how we roll up here in Wisconsin. So we all got that. Today was really more of a long neck day. The can kind of not reaching all the way to the top of the snow there, but that's also a acceptable unofficial way of measuring snow there. That being a long neck kind of day, more than one can, but less than two. That's pretty much what we ended up getting.
Exactly. Awesome.
But I do have a graphic as we were going along through the episode today that does show about how much we received. Can you see that okay?
There we go. Yeah.
Now, this was brought out early, so these totals might get bumped a little after it's all said and done, particularly those who are right up against the lake there. But this was brought out at about 6 o'clock this morning from the Milwaukee Sullivan National Weather Service, which is my local office. And you can see, as expected, most of the higher totals were to the further south, particularly the southeast. Over in my area here, we got just over 7 inches. And based upon what I received in the driveway, I would say that's just about right. And then again, we had that lake enhancement continue on a little further in duration, I think a little bit later than was even expected too. So like I mentioned before, Kenosha was reporting in close to 10 inches. I wouldn't be surprised by the time it's all said and done that their official report is closer to a foot.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, thank you so much for sharing that, Dan. And just a reminder to all of our viewers, if you ever get a picture and want to send it in to us, we would love to see it, love to show it here on the show. Just use the hashtag EWVStormCast and mention at ExtremeWX Videos in your tweet, or you can always inbox it to us over on Facebook as well, whatever way you get it to us. We would be definitely glad to share your pictures here on live on the show and things like that. Now, another thing, we're going to go on to here our next segment of the show with Rob, and that is our segment. Nice fun segment that we have here on the show today in weather history. So, Rob, tell us what happened today in weather history.
Today in 1893, the temperatures jumped 42 degrees in 15 minutes at Fort Assinniboines. I forgot. Montana rising from -5 to 37 degrees. Also today in 1977, snowflakes were observed at Homestead and Miami Beach in extreme southern Florida, which is not that far, maybe about 250 miles from where I'm at.
Wow. Wait, what year was the snow in Homestead in Miami?
1977 it was.
Wow. January 19th, 1977. It snowed in Miami, Florida. I used to live in Miami. I knew it snowed there before, but now I know what year it snowed there. That's really, really cool. So that's what happened today in weather history. So, all right, up next here is just our fun part of the show here. We're going to have our round table talk here with the EWV team. Just get to talk about, different things that are going on and start like stuff like that. So, Jesse, what's up?
Before we get to that part, I just wanted to let you know, in regard to that Wetumpka tornado today, there was one injury reported.
One injury. Okay. Thank you for that update there. So, that was definitely the big severe weather part of the day for sure when I saw that. That's only about it's probably closer to about 3 hours from where I'm at. And that was at I think it was at around 2:30, between 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, thankfully it wasn't a school day. That's a pretty highly populated area. I'm not sure how close, any high school or thing like that is to there, but imagine if, that had happened on a school day and people were out driving, going to pick up their kids and stuff like that. Probably could have been even a lot worse than it was today.
That's what the officials are saying, is that if it was a school day or even a Sunday, that it could have been worse with churches and schools being full of people.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the First Baptist Church there in Wetumpka was damaged. I'm pretty sure their auditorium was pretty heavily damaged and things like that. So yeah, if there are people in there, could have been pretty serious, for sure. So, who wants to be first on our roundtable talk? Tell us kind of what's going on, what the weather's been like since the last time we were here, and what you're looking for the rest of the week. All right, Rob, you got it. It's all yours, man. Take it away. Hold up. Your microphone's muted there, Rob.
Sorry, I muted it on my accident.
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. Tomorrow we are going to be in the 60s for the high, and it'll be pretty consistent for the next few days. Midweek we might get some rain, and we'll be in the 70s and maybe lower 80s for the highs, and it'll be pretty consistent throughout the week with highs in the 60s and 70s. So it'll be just regular Florida January weather, I'd say.
You know what this reminds me of, Jesse and Dan? You know those little graphics that say, everywhere else in the country is freezing and, Florida's like on its own? Yeah. It's gonna be it's gonna be one of those weeks. Like where Florida's like 70 degrees and everywhere else is like -30. Like, not gonna be fun. What?
I finally got that article up here. I'm going to read some of what it says.
Cool.
It says here, severe thunderstorms moved through central and southern Alabama Saturday afternoon, producing tornadoes in the Montgomery area, including the city of Wetumpka, which is 17 miles northeast of Montgomery. At 2:44, the National Weather Service in Birmingham detected a severe thunderstorm producing rotation in Elmore and Montgomery counties. Tornado warnings were issued for those areas as storm approached the cities of Montgomery and Wetumpka.
Yeah. So that was pretty much happened. And there's an excellent graphic. Yes, Dan. I hate Florida Day.
I couldn't help it. We're all thinking it.
Yep. That's
You
pretty
were
much
watching too, unless if you're from Florida, you're all thinking it too.
You just
If you're
had
not, hang on, you will be.
exactly.
Dan.
Exactly. It's going to be a long, cold week. And not only that, I mean, Jesse was mentioning it earlier, but I don't think people are kind of getting to kind of really think about how cold it's going to be. That wind chill, I mean, even here where I'm at, we're under a wind advisory from 1 a.m. until 7 p.m. tomorrow for winds up to 40 miles per hour. And that's all the way down here in Georgia. I mean, you think of what it's going to be like in a place, closer to where the center of that low is and stuff like that. I mean, what about you, Dan? You're, kind of a little bit further north. I feel like you're really going to be getting those winds whipping around.
Oh, yeah. I was taking a look at the forecast here, and we're going to be struggling to get up to just double digits coming up this week. Tomorrow, we're going to be a balmy 12 degrees. But then overnight, our actual temperatures, not windshield, our actual temp will be below 0. That's getting cold. So that's not even factoring wind in yet.
Yeah.
Highs in the teens to start the week. The next system that's moving in on Tuesday night, it gives us a chance to, right now they're looking at just a couple of inches. We'll see what happens. That our warm-up is going to be like 31. I think that might be our high for the whole week. We'll see what happens towards next weekend. But, yeah, it's getting cold.
Not getting above freezing for an entire week. It's like literally living in a freezer. The state of Wisconsin is going to be living.
It's just more room to keep your beer cold.
Yeah.
Hold on. You think that's bad? Right now, as we speak, International Falls, Minnesota, -15 degrees with a wind chill of -35.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, Dan's like, let's not move that far north. I wonder what it is up in like Alberta and Winnipeg and places like that.
It's even colder up there. It's -35 with wind chill.
I believe it.
Hey, if you guys look at what I got.
Rob, you got some rain coming in.
Yeah, it's coming into about Tarpon Springs, Newport Richey area. We might get a little bit of rain, but probably not that much. I'm like right here, so.
Well, you're down near St. Petersburg, right?
Yeah, I'm about like east of Tampa, around here somewhere. So.
Oh, gotcha. Well, what's that storm off to the southwest there?
This is we actually might get.
That's got a little hail marker on it and everything. That could make its way up.
Quarter-inch hail marker, 10% possible, 0% severe.
Yeah, I mean, but still, they could make it up that way eventually. So, oh, Dan, look at that! There's still snow falling up there.
Yeah, I thought I would take a second here just to pull up the local radar here. This is just a quick loop here, but that's showing that some of that lake-enhanced snowfall there. So for those of you that are right up against the lake, and I mean within 5-10 miles of the lake, your snow chances for today are not quite over. You could still pick up just a little bit yet.
I see Racine looked like they just had a decent little bout just kind of go through right there in that radar loop. Racine and coming into the northeast side of Kenosha there, looks like they're also going to be picking up a little bit of snow.
Your chances aren't over quite yet. You could still pick up maybe another 10th or quarter inch, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, see how long that lasts. But that is really, really interesting, and it's really cool. Can you zoom out on that a little bit, Dan? Yeah, so you can kind of see. It's kind of like you kind of see how it's almost in like little rows there on the lake. Those are like it's pretty much cloud streets is what you're seeing there. You got that pretty much due north to south wind there. With a little bit of a minor lake influence and things like that, kind of forcing it over toward the coast. But really interesting seeing the cloud streets there kind of setting up there on the radar with those snow bands just offshore. Really cool stuff. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So what about you, Jesse? What do you got?
Ohio.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, we're seeing, some of those higher snowfall totals, even up there in northeast Ohio, 8 inches, 5.5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches. So,
Oh, wow.
even down toward Cincinnati, getting in on some of the snow there. So,
yeah, I
go
see
up
that.
to Cleveland, go up to KCLE, see what it's looking like up there, because that's where kind of some of the heavier snow is going to be coming into tonight. Is up in the Cleveland area.
Oh, funny you mentioned that. I was just zeroed in on that. Here you go. I was just looking at Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, that's where some of that heavier snow there is coming in there over the Cleveland area.
Yep.
And, getting over into northwest Pennsylvania as well. And a little bit of mixing there, kind of down a little bit farther south near Newark and those areas.
Yeah.
But, again, that's going to be, eventually we'll see more of that kind of changing from rain over to snow as we go through the evening. As you've seen kind of in the new Philadelphia area, it's already kind of changed over from that sleet mix now all to snow. So
New York's starting to get snow too.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night for those folks.
Seems to be a warm pocket right over Pittsburgh.
Yep. Pretty much that's that little warm nose there. Right over that area there. Exactly what you're seeing.
5 inches up near Buffalo.
Hey, I used to live in Buffalo.
State College right now, seeing some pretty significant snow.
That's where Penn State's at.
Yep.
I didn't go there, but definitely where Penn State. I love how you can tell where the radar is. There's like a little black hole there. So
yeah.
But no, it's definitely I really hope to get some folks to be sharing their pictures and stuff like that throughout the day tomorrow. And as we get into, even Monday up into parts of, New England and things like that, we love seeing your guys' pictures and things like that. And, I'm glad we got to come on here and do this tonight. We really appreciate, everyone coming in and hanging out
here. My light just timed out on me. Hang on a second.
Yeah, we still hear you there. But you are a little bit darker.
There we go. I have those hue lights set on a timer, so sorry about that. It's 10 o'clock for those of you.
Yeah. Yep. And also, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but that's right, Rob. This is our 50th StormCast that we've done here on YouTube. So really cool things, and looking forward to doing another 50 more. So again, I want to say thank you to everyone for watching. If you haven't subscribed to us, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us here. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Periscope and all those good things. And we will see you all again, hopefully soon, with some more winter weather, and we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.